Good evening, everybody in the podcast world. It has been a long couple days. Definitely pretty tired right now, but it's all good. We got some good stuff to talk about. I hope everybody enjoyed the last podcast I did. I listened in, talking a lot about finding your identity, finding out and evaluating who you are as a person, what it is you stand for, and what it is you're going to do with that, as far as who you're going to connect with, who you're going to choose to be. There's just a lot of identity there and a lot of hard truths that you need to really look at yourself and really establish, is this who I really want to be, or is this where I want to fit? I listened to a fantastic podcast episode today from Andy Frisella's Real AF, I believe. Um, and the guest he had on there, one of them said something super just impactful, and it just fit really well with where I'm transitioning to with this topic of identity to goal setting. Is, are you trying to fit whatever X is in your life? Like whatever, whether it's a job or a hobby, or really anything, a group. Are you trying to fit it into your life, or are you trying to fit, or is it trying to fit to you? Something to really think about there. So into this one, we're going to be talking about goal setting. And again, transitioning from identifying you, who you are, what you like to do, maybe what you need to do better, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, and perfection is far from ever to be attainable. However, that doesn't mean we should live in mediocrity. That doesn't mean we should allow ourselves to slide by or skate through something, or do subpar work. Even though subpar as a golf term I think is actually good, but we need to realize that saying something is below the average means you're just not trying, or you're choosing to do some things but maybe not do the hard thing. That one thing, or maybe that one more rep, that one more set that's really going to put you over the edge into just a really good place. So now that you've evaluated you, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to take yourself in any point of life? Because that's the greatest thing that any trainer, really any person, really they should teach in high school, is the greatest piece of human evolution that it's proven throughout the ages, is that if we choose to, we as human beings are fully adaptable. Our bodies can adapt to almost any friction, any hardship that comes up. We will figure out a way. Gets cold, well, we're going to build it. We're going to figure out how to build a fire. We're going to kill some more animals for sustenance, for their furs. Maybe get some whale blubber for insulation or oil. Like in any facet, climb, or place, the human body, either as an individual or community, has learned how to adapt. And we wouldn't think about some of those more drastic measures nowadays, and especially if some of us are living in more first world countries, or even those that maybe not have all of the privilege and entitlements that we definitely enjoy here in this country. But at the same time, due to their environment and circumstance, they are learning how to adapt and overcome their whatever is placed in front of them. It could be anything. If you put your shoulder to the wheel and you put your head down and you think about it hard enough, you're going to figure out a way. The body will adapt. A really good example on this, as far as adaptation, is I was talking to somebody today, and it's what's frustrating for like myself sometimes is we're gonna talk about physical fitness here for this example. Is there are so many aspects of every type of fitness out there, and I find them fascinating, and I love them, and I really try to do my best to do it all. The hard part is my time is so limited that I really do have to pick and choose what it is I train or how I'm going to train, how I'm going to tackle the desire to do it all. I love these pieces from the cross training world. I love these, heavy lifts from the powerlifting. I love the really huge test of strength and grit that we see in strongman. I love endurance aspects from more of the calisthenic sports, like Ironmans and marathon and just runners. There are all these pieces in the world that some people specialize in, and then maybe others like myself, like we're just trying to find a way to do it all. And some people are like, well, CrossFit's the way. I was like, well, your standard box is not, going to be it. And that's just being honest. Like there are just places out there or even other global gyms where it's just a standard group class and you're going to see some benefits and it's going to be fitness and health related anyway. So it's going to be fantastic for you. But you can't tell me and look at me in the face and say that the top tier CrossFit athletes are just doing a WOD a day. Maybe for recovery, maybe it's a pretty big, whatever it is, sure. But they're working their butts off to be in the level of shape that they are. And that's their desire. And that's the great part is they've been able to fit CrossFit into their life and them to it, so they've worked this relationship both ways. So what's great about this is it's the transition of the new year here pretty soon. We've got like one week left. Yeah, 1 week, less than a week. I'm a liar. Just about a week. And we're going to be in somewhere new, and some people are going to be like, maybe they'll be posting, like new year, new me, or new you, and 2021 is going to be way better. What's funny about that? Let's all flip our minds back to at the start of 21, myself included. I was like, man, 2020 is going to be a great year. I had finally gotten out of, just decided to get out of the global sphere of commercial gyms, realized that, it just wasn't my place, didn't jive. Had been training my own clients and building my base repertoire, and then finally built up enough revenue to get my own little place. And things were great. February 1st, opened the doors, great exposure, good things going, a lot of referrals. And then March 1st rolls around, and now we're in quarantine status. People don't know what to think. People don't know where to go. All they know is they're whatever they were going to do, whatever they thought they were going to do. Everybody put that cautious foot forward. Everyone, hey, let's listen to the guidance. Let's do what we need to do. Like, we banded together in those, that I would say that first month and a half for sure. I adapted, luckily worked hard, built up enough savings to pay my bills, pay my lease, even though they still required it, even though we were supposed to be shut down. I figured it out. So when we go into 2021, it's going to be as good a year. And this is a good part. This is what, this just popped in. 2021 is going to be as good a year as you make it, as you choose to make the year. So regardless of what happens that's not in our control, whatever the government decides to do, whatever your local state representatives decide to do, there are things that are definitely out of our realm of what we can and cannot impact. And that has to be an honest talk. Like there's just things you're just not, I cannot control another person's actions or choices. It's just not, we're put on this world with our agency to choose for ourselves, good or bad. Okay. And so due to that, at the end of the day, the only person that you can change and influence for change is yourself. Now, if you're in a family or have a significant other, I hope that you're working together. I hope that you're evaluating yourself and not nitpicking on your partner or your loved one or whoever and nitpicking them when you really should just be looking at yourself. Develop yourself for betterment. And then in time and in turn, it will better your unit. We're going to get more of that here in a little bit. So this whole 2021, as good as you make it to be, no matter what happens, No matter the doors slammed in your face, the walls that are thrown up, the surfaces that are kind of put in your way, you have to find a gap. You have to find a way to still obtain what it is you need to. Especially small business owners, we are going to probably continue to need to buckle down and adapt and overcome. Also, on that recent episode of Real AF, the other phrase that kind of stuck out is, entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm going to paraphrase, but they need to be pretty savage people, and I don't mean that as like bad or unethical practices or immoral choices as far as like how to get success. What I mean is, you have to essentially look at your business like you're going to war to build your brand and to build your empire. Essentially, you need to be doing everything you can to look at every avenue and tool available to you as a resource to succeed. A lot of the ways that I'm trying to adapt in my own business with the gym, in some of the things that I offer as far as programs and online clients and in person and then hybrid people, all across the board, is I've figured out that, my biggest lacking is not the product that I can give somebody, but it's how I can give it to them. What are the tools and resources out there to make my job more streamlined and make the experience for the consumer like tenfold? Because that's what it is, especially as a small business owner within a consumer-based industry. What is it you're doing for the consumer? I.e., as a person, an individual, what is it you're doing for yourself to then impact positively the lives of others? So moving in is, as you transition to what it is you're going to do better, what it is you're going to work harder at, what it is you're going to tighten up in your life, and if you've set some goals, make sure that they're SMART goals, and that's an acronym. SMART being, make sure it's a specific goal. So let's see, I just picked up a newer client not too long ago. We're going to say his name's Dave. Okay, so Dave wants to definitely lose weight. Really good dude. He's tried a lot of things in the past. So for his goals, his main thing is he wants to lose weight. But at the same time, he realizes, hey, if he ends up shredding off that fat but maintaining a high amount of muscle, he's fine if really his weight only drops 20 pounds or 25 pounds rather than, say, 50. But that's still goal. He has a quantifiable and a measurable goal to obtain. So it's very specific. So he wants to lose 50 pounds. Okay. It's very specific. Measurable. Can we measure the progress or the steps we have to take to make sure that happens? Okay, sure. We're probably going to work together for sure for about 12 weeks. That's fantastic. That gives me enough time to set a baseline, which we have already for his nutrition. And every week he's going to check in, and we're going to see, based off this baseline and this food, this nutritional guidance I give him, how does his body react? How is it that it's supplementing not only his active lifestyle as a law enforcement officer, how is it impacting his energy as a father? How is it impacting his performance in the gym? And really his life, all aspects of it. So measuring out what needs to happen for him to lose those 50 pounds. Is it attainable? Yeah, it definitely is. Where he's at with the scans he's given me and the readings and everything that he's kind of kept track over, I would say the last 6 months, he's done his due diligence to kind of see where his numbers are at. He tried to do it on his own and then realized, hey, I need to reach out to a professional. I was more than happy to help Dave. So it's definitely attainable. In 12 weeks, depending on what happens, yeah, we can lose that. I've definitely had clients lose 20 plus pounds in 8 weeks. Okay. And that wasn't even doing anything crazy. Is it realistic? Yes. Realistic. Is it timely? Can we do it in a timely manner? Yeah. In 12 weeks, or maybe, depending on what happens as far as his schedule shifts, maybe the stress level, because, hey, you just found out he and his wife are pregnant with baby number 2. That can cause a lot of stress. I've got 2 kids of my own. Trust me. There are a lot of extra stressors that happen in life that we cannot foresee. Again, one of those things that can be out of our control. When you're with somebody, married or not, if you're going to conduct yourself in certain relations and not take the proactive step to put certain contraceptive measures in place, and a baby happens, like, look, Bob, you got to take responsibility. And that's my pure opinion on it. And again, that's part of developing you, knowing that you have the honor and integrity to, face the consequences of your actions, good or bad. Okay. So Dave, thank you for the example of helping us explain SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay. Something that would be the opposite of Dave's example would be somebody that says, I want to lose 50 pounds in 6 to 8 weeks. Now, depending on the person and how much they're going to listen to somebody, sure, it could be done. But I don't, and I believe I speak for a lot of other trainers, is it should not be done, I would say, outside of certain people that are like bodybuilding comp. Whereas at the same time though, like, I don't know, I've never done a bodybuilding competition, but I would believe if you're 6 weeks out, you may already be close to not having to drop that 50 pounds. You might only have to drop like 20, which is doable. I've seen it done. But if somebody wants to lose 50 pounds and they're pretty far gone, I cannot in good conscience guarantee those results without being able to guarantee sustainability afterwards. And this is the realm we fall into. A lot of people live and die by the scale. And the scale can be one of the biggest liars. There's a fantastic bodybuilding athlete that actually lives in this area. There's actually quite a few. And I really appreciate the post that she makes. Well, I'll just say Angel Backers. If you look her up, I've met her quite a handful of times, especially when I went to the IMCA. Super hardworking, super dedicated. I love the post that she makes when she shows when she was on those crash diets or, salads all the time and low carb. And sure, she was lean, but in all honesty, it didn't look healthy. And she's very open about that. And here she is, just putting in the work like many other athletes around here, just putting it in. And she honestly weighs, I'm not going to put a number on it because I don't have it up right now, but she weighs more than she did when, she was following all the crap, the fad diets and the extreme things and the cleanses and, all this other stuff. She weighs more than when she was doing all of those things that, all those gurus out there talk about. But yet now she's got great muscle mass on her. And when I say a bodybuilding athlete, I'm not talking like one of those, Olympia level athletes, female or male, because they both look just like Olympia status. They're there for a reason. But she's great lean muscle mass, very well developed, conditioned, and you know what? She's eating like twice as much more as she ever did before. But you know what the difference is? It's knowing how to eat, what to eat. Extreme measures, again, this comes back to if somebody's living or dying by the scale, if this is you out there, if you're listening and you're living and dying by what that scale says every day or every week, and you're not specifically working toward a goal and actively pursuing that with fitness and nutrition, you need to just throw your scale out. Because honestly, like the way I train people, especially if they're working towards goals, which you always should be, but how do you look? How do you feel? Are you recovering? 9 times out of 10, if those 3 are positive, they're not really going to be bothered by what the scale says, because they're going to have the energy for their life, for their job, for the workouts. They're going to look great because their clothes are going to fit better. Heck, I've had one client, one of my OG clients, she's awesome. She works her butt off, and I whoop her really bad. She earns that time in the gym. I am so happy when she tells me, "Hey, I went out and I bought some new clothes because they fit me better." That's a confidence booster to her. Someone that came from just wearing big baggy shorts or pants or baggy shirts to hide, and now she's wearing clothes that are fitting. That's freedom. That's someone that's gaining more confidence with their body. That's someone learning sustainability habits for the longevity. She wasn't about the quick fix. The quick fix isn't going to fix what you've done to your body for the last 5 to 10 years. Let's be honest. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you're having a question of whether you're fat or not, guess what? You're fat. Okay. And that's hard. That's hard to hear. That's hard to witness unto yourself about. But until you break that mental barrier, it's not going to happen. You're not going to dig down deep enough to make a change. And a crash diet, a fad thing, is not the answer. I've tried to work with people before, and many other trainers have the same issue is, you know the product you deliver works. You know how and why, and you try to share that. And because they don't see a fast result within 3-4 weeks, they're just going to go off and do their own thing. And I've had someone straight up to my face like, I'm just going to go do low carb again because I saw the scale move. I'm like, why, dude? I mean, I didn't really say that immediately. I was like, well, I'm not going to support that decision. You can still choose to do what you want. But in my mind, and I told him, I was like, well, just remember, like, the path we're on right now, your strength is going up. You have more energy than you've ever had for your life, your job, and workouts. You're almost, I mean, he was adding in the workouts, but essentially he was doubling the amount of work he was putting himself through 3 days a week. On top of that, he could tell that his body was recovering faster. He wasn't as sore as he was the first week and a half to 2 weeks. That third week and fourth week, we were cruising. There was so much more I could put him through because he was just recovering. He was listening to me. But because that scale wasn't moving, he stopped listening to some of the things I was saying. The thing is, the scale was moving, just wasn't moving fast enough. You can't rush greatness. Rome wasn't built in a day. The great pyramids, the temples and cities down in South America, really anywhere in the world, they weren't built fast. And if they were, then they weren't built right. There's a reason the things that are still standing are still standing. It took time. It took quality. And if you're not going to take the same measures, the same facets and basics, and apply it to yourself as a human being, it's going to be a long, hard road. And you need to realize that. Do it right. Just like, yeah, I really can't come up with another example. There's really nothing else to beat a dead horse on there, on that one. Again, sustainability. If you learn it, it's going to equal longevity. And sometimes your goals will change. That's again, going back to adaptability of the human body and the human mind. We're always growing. Never judge somebody because they're changing. It just shows your own insecurities. It shows my own insecurities if I do that. And I'm very aware of the way I think about, I get called out a lot of times, and then in my mind, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm purposely like allowing myself to go down this hole, which is worse. But learn sustainability. And if you're going to adapt to a new goal, learn what, set up some more SMART goals. What is it that it's going to take to put you in that realm? Where you want to be, what you want to do, like I go do, again with fitness, or military. Okay. You want to go do a certain type of competition. Okay. You want to go do a powerlifting, know what it is that you're going to need to do for your weight class, maybe see what the other competitors are doing, or just go there and have that be your PR day. Set your programming up, or have someone set your programming up so that you peak on that competition day. Same thing with, the strongman stuff, like that stuff. I really need to go witness like a competition of that in person. Like I've watched a few, but I've got a friend, a fellow Marine that I think he's rated as Missouri's strongest man now. But just watching him train, and again, I've talked about him before, Jake, if you're listening. I love it. I just get excited because I'm like, dude, that's insane. Like that amount of weight and what he's doing with it, it's just awesome. But the same thing goes, he's super, super strong. But the thing is, he spent years developing his central nervous system and his muscular density to do those things. and he gets injured, yeah, sure. But that's also the price of greatness, of pushing your body to its limits. You're going to adapt, but it's going to come with some owies along the way. You have to accept that. Nothing is going to come easy, and nothing's going to come without sacrifice, no matter what it is. Trust me, you want to have a great relationship? Guess what, dude? You're going to have to swallow your pride and not be so selfish. And honestly, some women may be that way. However, like most of you dudes out there, like myself, you're pretty pig-headed. Let's just be straight up with that. Okay? It's not all about the man card or laying down the law. You know, if you find a good enough partner, I've been super blessed in my life. Again, we're not perfect. There's a lot of things that we're still working on, and that's the beauty. Like, we've been together 6 years. Yes, 6 years. Lately, it's been a lot better than the last two, or the first two. First two were rough. Okay, you come from different worlds. You have to learn how to adapt. And again, in some regards, I'll admit I was pretty pig-headed on things. I was pretty blind on how to adapt. I was also raised in a family of only boys. You know, to be honest, outside of dating, like, I didn't know how to really live with another female. I don't know. It's just what it is. But we change, we adapt, we overcome, we become aware. We listen to those closest to us. What's going to be our network? What's going to be our community, our tribe? Build it, develop it. Don't just join a tribe and then sit back and essentially soak in what everybody else is doing. You have to contribute. Where are we going with here? Oh no, this is perfect actually. My brain knows where my notes are going. You have to contribute. Your family, your significant other, that is your unit. That is the most base foundational unit in the world, in any community. That is a microcosm community right there. Either you and your significant other, or you and your family, you know, with kiddos. And you, especially as rough and as dark as this world is further getting, and the further that we pull away from, you know, more of those traditional values of the family, of supporting the family, of just building togetherness and unity, and trying to make things better for the next generation, the more we pull away from that, the harder it's going to be to keep these families tight and strong. And so it takes strong parents, moms and dads, to work on themselves, but be there for each other. And that's going to come with sacrifice. There's going to be a lot of things, and there's been a lot of things that, like, I can no longer do now. I have to step away from, or I had to give up. I had to give up certain dreams, certain goals that I was extremely passionate about, very driven to do. And I realized in the end, my family would suffer for those. And it's just something I had to come to grips with, and I had to make that choice. So I had to do what I needed to do to continue to be a present part of my family's life. So with that example, you as a unit, with your significant other, if that's just your unit, base unit, develop yourself as an individual within as you continue to develop your identity, as you develop yourself of what you're going to do to make that better, is honestly develop yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, if that's, you know, a wheelhouse of yours. All of those things will add more concrete foundation within your life to better develop you, to solidify who you are as a growing entity within this world. Physically, be honest. You feel better when you're more physically fit from where you were. Not saying everyone has to look like that magazine cover model, because sometimes that's unattainable. And a lot of those people, that's everything that they do. And a lot of us, we have to balance families, work, X whatever hobby, okay, quote unquote, and something that's lifting. And that's the only 3 things we can do. And that's where we have to be. So we don't always have the time to be competition ready, be show ready, you know, do all these other things unless we fit it into our life. We want to make it a part of who we are. Okay. So again, there's that symbiotic relationship between these 2 things. So physically, we say it's a lot, and we hear this on other podcasts and other people say it, but work out to look good naked. You feel good about yourself, and honestly, you do it for your significant other. Like I like walking by a mirror and knowing that, hey, I look pretty good. I also hope that when I walk through the house, my wife looks at me like, dang, he's been doing more squats. And I have, all right? I've been working really hard. A lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts, a lot of RDLs. Trying, okay? Certain things I was not blessed well with. All right, you know what I mean? Not to beat a dead horse on it, but do it for you. Do it to feel better about yourself. Emotionally, especially when you start pairing yourself with a significant other or a partner, not always are you on the same emotional level. And you have to realize that you're two different people. Two different people can very easily compete with each other, but at the same time, two people can very easily come together as well. And there's an emotional level of adapting to that person where you don't need to lose who you are and how you react to things. Like, there's just things as far as being from the East Coast, I'm extremely blunt with, to the point that maybe it comes across rude or uncaring, and I am aware of that. But it's also just a part of who I am, just being very straight and to the point. But I don't look for confrontation if confrontation's not there. If you don't have beef with me and it's not something that needs to be addressed, then I'm just not going to care, and I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to just kind of say whatever and move on. Especially as a person, I don't have time for the BS. I've got 1,000 other things going through my mind, like all of you probably do. And the more drama that you can just kind of cut out of your life, that shows maturity as well. Like, I don't have time for it. That's your problem, not my problem. Until you make it my problem, then it will be your problem, because now I have to deal with it and I have to deal with you. So emotionally, like, again, that's kind of like standing firm with who you are, but also being emotionally adaptable to be empathetic and sympathetic, especially to your significant other. Like, I could care less how maybe my feelings come across to anyone outside, besides my wife and probably my closest friends and brothers in the core. And they will get more of me than probably anybody else. Other than that, I'm a pretty reserved person. I'm not going to show you more than I think you need to know. And on top of that, that goes with mentally. Where's your mental headspace? I ask people a lot when people are struggling with something, or if I don't fully understand where they stand, I'm going to ask somebody like, hey, where's your headspace? And I'm going to let that evolve into, like, as they tell me what's going on. And this comes in handy really too, as a teammate, a squad mate, as a trainer and a coach, like being able to just sit back, shut your mouth, maybe ask the right questions to better understand somebody's spot, and so I can help them. So I'm able to do this because I'm always trying to, people that want to put themselves in to be trainers and coaches need to be able to put themselves in a good spot to then help others. And that's where a lot of this is coming down to. My very final point is going to really tie this all in. And then spiritually, if you are a spiritual person, if you hold to a certain belief system, I shared this with somebody. There's a really famous rugby coach, I think out of California. I don't remember. Highland Rugby. There's a movie about it called Forever Strong. That coach is one of the coaches of one of the best non-professional leagues of rugby, though I think they do play some professional teams. However, he had a great quote, and this ties in with the spiritual thing. It's like, if you're going to be a Baptist, be the best Baptist you can be. If you're going to be a Catholic, be the best Catholic you can be. If you're going to be a Mormon, be the best Mormon you can be. And again, this just comes down to, and if you're not going to be religious, then just be the best person you can be. This comes down to, like, whatever you're going to be about, whatever you're going to preach about, live that. Let that develop who you are as a person, and again, if there's no religious system there, that's fine. Just be a good person. I've met these people that some of the people that don't follow any particular faith have been really good friends of mine. I don't care. I don't really care what race you are. I don't care what you follow. I don't care what your heritage is. I don't even care where you live, to be honest. I mean, I hope you're trying to, better yourself no matter what. But that's the thing is, Are you a good person? Are you bettering yourself? Can I trust you around my family? Can I trust you with my kids? That's what I look for in a person. That's what you should look for in yourself. Hey, am I a good enough person that somebody could trust me? And again, and there's a lot of people out there we just don't jive with, and we have to be honest with that. Like, hey, as a person, he's a good person, or he's an overall okay dude. I just don't jive with him. I've come across plenty of people like that too. I know that overall, he's not doing any bad. He's not doing any bad to me, but we just don't jive. But I'm going to be nice to him. I'm going to be respectful. And then when it coming back to kind of our family unit or organizations where we live or the military, I'm reading through Extreme Ownership again by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, which I'd recommend as a really good read for anybody. Very early on in the book, I love this quote or this topic they go over that is there's no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. So there's no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. Everyone in a team, in a family has something to contribute, something very unique. There can also be some foundational skills kind of that everyone shares, and that they're all competent in. So that everyone can fulfill, say, this, a task. Everyone can do it. But there's something individually and unique that everyone can bring to the table. But if there's not a leader or leaders, so, husband, wife, whatever, or if you're a co-manager with somebody else, or like myself, I have a platoon commander, I'm the platoon sergeant. There's different hierarchical statuses there, sure, but we work together for the benefit of the section. Everything we do, everything we talk about, everything we discuss and plan is for our team to be the best in the unit, if not the company, if not the battalion or division. We want people to notice and know that 323 Cat 1 Titan or call sign Titan is locked on dudes. They're knowledgeable, they're adapting, they're strong mind, they're strong willed. They're going to get after it with violence of action, and they're going to follow commander's intent, and they're going to execute on an objective with, just speed and violence. But then at the same time, we can also fulfill other duties within CAT. So that's the thing. No bad teams, only bad leaders. And it's fantastic. I think it says more than I ever could, just in those little simple words. On top of that, this is a thought I had today as I was driving home, and I probably should have recorded then. But within that framework, no bad teams, only bad leaders, you're only as strong as your weakest link. We hear this a lot growing up, especially within team sports. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Okay. So there's two things that can happen. One, I'm going to address the very obvious. One, you come together or there's some type of mentor and you build up that weak link. Okay. I'll be honest. I thought about this too. Is the flip side of that is at some point, stop carrying dead weight. Over time, if you're continuing to exercise all these extra efforts on this weak link, quote unquote, but at the same time, you exerting all of that, one, the person's not progressing, or it's pretty much like you have to lead a horse to water for every single thing. I'm going to tell you right now, at least for myself, it's not worth the time. It's not worth the headache, and it's not worth dealing with somebody that can't fix themselves. Seeing this time and time again. Stop carrying dead weight. At some point, you have to push away, because all it's going to do is drag you down. That weak link. Okay, so great example. The one I thought of that just popped back into my head. We're going to go medieval times here, or really anything. So medieval times. Okay, a shirt of chainmail, right? It's little interlocking rings, really tiny, but sometimes they're big and thick too. But they can really be any size. But it's an entire shirt made up of these metal rings that are clamped together. Okay. A weak link, one weak circle. I wish I had my little thing here. You could really see. One weak circle could be the difference between a sword slash stab or arrow piercing your body. One weak link, one out of, and it's, again, I mean, we're talking, if you're watching the YouTube, I'm making a big circle, but I mean, I'm going to make a small, I mean, you're talking like, the size of, pretty much the whole of my ringed up fingers. So no more than maybe a half inch. Again, it all depends on what you're using. One weak link can be glancing blow, bruising blow, or potentially piercing the skin, causing you potentially serious harm no matter where they hit you. One weak link. So what can we do there? Okay, well, if the link gets noticed, like say in battle prep, so PCCs and PCIs, that's pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspections. So, prepping for a job before you step out on something, making sure your tools are there, making sure everything's in working order, making sure your team's set up for success, really checking all your, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, right? So if you're checking this chainmail shirt and this one link is busted or it's loose or it's kind of come undone, you can either fix it yourself or you take it to the blacksmith or the armor smith and, they tighten it up. Okay, well, it's going to come a time where, cool, if we can fix it, tighten it up, put it back in line, make it sure it's, fulfills the integrity of the entire garment, perfect. If you take it, and this keeps happening, this same link gets loose, and maybe we notice, hey, there's a lot of rust on there. Hey, you either haven't maintained it, or two, it's bad metal. It's bad metal. There's just excess corrosion, or it's chipped, cracked, damaged in some way that it's just not going to retain tension. Guess what? You take it out of the chainmail shirt. You take it out and you replace it. Okay. I hope everyone kind of followed me on that one. Is you get rid of dead weight. Stop carrying a weak link, thinking, oh, we're only as strong as the weakest link, so we just need to keep grinding and get better, but that weak link just doesn't do anything. Now, this could be someone's attitude. This could be someone's actions, someone's mental state. If it's something that continues becoming a problem, you don't need it. At the same time, if this is you and we're working within this, finding and developing more about you and how you're going to do it, and there's somebody out there with enough care and love in their heart to say, hey, dude, you're messed up. Hey, girl, you got to get this under control. Like someone that's going to be like honest with you, not going to fluff you up, not going to hype you, not going to keep you in that good mental space because, oh, we're going to be worried about, the harm that's going to happen, or, how bad they're going to feel about themselves. Look, if you want it bad enough, you're going to take criticism. If you want to change bad enough, you're going to listen. Now, if your ego's too big, if your pride's too large, someone's just wasting their breath. You just think you're hot stuff. There's nothing in the world that's going to make you better except what you think you want to do. I'm always looking to get better. I'm always talking to other professionals. I'm talking to people I respect. I'm searching, the social media pages and the podcast of successful business people. What do I need to think about? How do I need to expand my scope of thinking? How is it that I can better my business so that it's not just a little hole in the wall gym. It's not just a small PT personal training group class format. No, I'm building an empire. I'm working really hard for the thing that's going to provide for my family exponentially over the years. But it started in a rough year, but I didn't care. I allowed myself maybe 2-3 days to freak out about it. And then after that, I was like, guess what? I'm not going to let 2020 get me down. I'm not going to let COVID define my business's success or not. I'm going to do that. I have there's a reason I stopped working for other people. I wanted to be the boss of me. I wanted to know that if I succeeded or failed, that's on my shoulders. So how bad do I want it? How bad do I want to succeed in life? Bottom line, if there's anything to work harder at, it's becoming a better person, defining you, getting better physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Tie all these pieces of the wheel together, put all the spokes in the wheel so that you can turn in a positive direction. Okay. What's the point I want to end on here? There we go. Be a good person. Just because we're in a pandemic and things are crazy and there's some political nonsense going on, doesn't give us the right to be rude to other people. I kind of told somebody off in Walmart today, because let's just be honest, Walmart's a petri dish of more than just COVID ever. And if your employees aren't going to wear a mask properly, and if half the other people or the 3 people that walked in front of me that were your buddies walked in without masks, and then you tell me that I have to wear a mask, I'm going to call you out on your BS. I am. On the flip side of that, I was still polite to this person. I was extremely respectful. I respectfully declined. And in other cases, people right now need more hope. No matter where I am, even outside of the pandemic, everything going on right now, you still need to treat people with respect and discipline. No matter who you are, if I pass you, my eyes are up. I'm not looking at the ground. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking to for something to distract me from interacting with a fellow human being. I'm going to say, good morning, good afternoon, sir or ma'am. Have a great day. Or I'll crack a joke to a random stranger about something stupid. But it'll get them to laugh, get them to chuckle. Maybe they were thinking about something rough, and I got them to just distract from that for a hot minute. Maybe they lost their job. And some random stranger just cracked a joke, and you know what? Had a little positivity beam into their life. Okay. There's a lot of unknown right now. There's a lot of fear. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay. But that's also life. Nobody knows what we're going to wake up to tomorrow. We cannot affect the future outside of our own life and our family's lives. So take care of each other. Take care of you. If there's something you failed at, if you hurt loved ones, if you've hurt yourself, if you're not in a good spot, if you're trying to get better, get better. Just do it. Yeah, easier said than done, right? Maybe you feel like you're up against the world. Trust me. Everyone's situation is unique. Everyone's trials in life are, some are familiar. A lot are very specific to you. Some are based off the choices of other people around you, maybe loved ones that hurt you, maybe something going on in your community. There's certain things out of our control. And and what are you going to do? The best thing you can do is, make sure you don't get hurt again. Make sure that your family and your kids are taken care of. Look after those that can't look after themselves. The big reason I joined the Marine Corps is I wanted to be one of the best. I wanted to find something that I could find a lot of pride in belonging to and being a part of. And I felt like I had a lot to offer as far as my capabilities and mindset with the Marine Corps. And it's pretty much fulfilled itself. On top of that, being aware of the state of the country is in and the state of the mindset of other people is I joined to fight in the place of those that can't fight for themselves. The people that are maybe being rejected from service or can't due to one policy or another. And then I'm willing to stand up and fight for those that just won't step forward, won't volunteer to be of service for their community as a whole. And, war conflict service policy, MCDP 1, warfighting, plain as day. I understand that. I'm sometimes at the mercy of politicians' wills and national interest. But at the same time, it's a volunteer fighting force, myself and others. So you veterans out there, I thank you. Okay, I know some of you get it, but I'll tell you what, I've lived in places where I didn't. Not that I expected it, not that I wanted it, but it was a transition moving out here more west, more Midwest, and hearing people genuinely say, hey, thank you for your service. It was just kind of like, oh, like, more, people actually believe this, people actually say these things, so I know that there are many out there that maybe live somewhere where you're maybe not thanked enough. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank all you men and women out there that have raised your hand and volunteered to see freedom and independence and the civil rights of this country stand firm and continue being a foothold. Please, everybody, keep your head up. Keep your minds elevated. Don't get stuck in don't get stuck in the muck of right now. It's the worst thing you could do. Don't get stuck in the muck. Keep your heads up. Keep your powder dry. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Vets and Barbells. Talk to you next time.